Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the latest episode of 12 Monkeys. This time we're talking season 2, episodes 6 through 9, and that's Immortal, Meltdown, Lullaby, and Hyena. And fortunately, as seems to happen every week, we're able to reconnect our tethers to one another and do some time travel talk. And I have with me my two co-hosts, as usual, and I'll start with you, Karen. Hello.
Hello, I took my shot, so we're ready to go.
Okay, very good. And Jesse.
Hello, Lou. Hello, Karen. I asked this, how did I miss this series when it first came on?
Yeah.
This is awesome.
Yeah, very good. Yeah, this is a turning point for us. I'm assuming based on Jesse's reaction, and Karen, I haven't really talked to about it yet, but I really feel that with these 4 episodes, the show's really got its hooks into me now. I'm caring about all the characters, and the show is continuing to be able to move the deck chairs around, but make it make sense and make it feel real without going, oh, they're just doing this to make the characters act this way so that the story can happen this way. It really feels like the characters' actions are based on their feelings and situations, and I just think that the show's doing a masterful job of that. And I'll get thoughts from both of you about these 4 episodes. Karen, I'll start with you. I'm curious about just your general feelings about where you are at with the series now because of what I just said, and what did you think overall of these 4 episodes?
Yeah, I don't know about you guys, but I'm trying to find connections in every new character. Where are they going to show up next? Are they really the father of this person? Are they the brother of this person? We got that they saved a woman and the woman had a son. Is the son going to come back at some point? I'm really starting to do that. And when you do that, at least on my part, I know I'm getting into it. Mm-hmm. I'm really starting to get absorbed into it and investing in the characters. Mm-hmm. So yeah, I'm right with you guys.
Okay. Jesse.
Yeah, I just enjoy the series more and more. I did not have time to rewatch all 4 episodes again, but I wanted to. They're finding a way to do different genres. One, we had a very much horror. One, we had it was set in the 70s and this cop feeling like killer.
Yeah.
And then we had a Groundhog Day episode that was very sweet. Mm-hmm. And I am starting to like Cole more. He is growing on me, and I really am enjoying his performance. And I think Jennifer is just the star of the show. I love young Jennifer, old Jennifer. It doesn't matter which Jennifer. She's just the spice that makes this thing fun.
Yeah. She gets to play off a lot of great pop culture lines and to put a new spin on them for sure. Okay, we go through these usually through the characters things, but I don't want to bury the lead on this one because I mentioned to the both of you during the week that this group of episodes really got me in the feels, and it was specifically episode 8, Lullaby, which was the Groundhog Day episode. And I think the show did such a masterful job of setting or sliding in something that I was given the dynamics of the show where characters are constantly being shifted their allegiances and whatnot and their motivations. But I was not ready for that particular moment in this episode because it was a Groundhog Day episode. You're really into that time travel mechanic. So you're going, okay, this is the way it's going to be. And then they slide in this culmination of the Hannah storyline with the reveal that Hannah survived and that the adult Hannah has been living with the Jennifers. Are they called the Hyenas in the future, or was that just that one group in the past? I don't know. No, they're called something else.
The Daughters.
The Daughters.
Yeah.
That just blew me away. I was totally unprepared for them. It was like a right hook out of the corner of my eye. Jesse, I'm going to ask you how you felt about that, but I'll be honest. I teared up when that scene played out.
Yeah. when we get Cole asking the question, I had to go back and listen to that again. And the idea of
doing something by doing nothing.
Yeah. And I love I'm a big fan of Penn and Teller. And therefore, I'm not someone who does magic, but I love the cups and balls and her talking about you're looking at the wrong thing. And the idea that you were able to save her, but you couldn't tell him because she needed you have to go through this pain to invent time travel, but without you knowing it, by inventing travel, you actually get your heart's desire. And that's a big swing on a show that is a weekly science fiction cable show, right? This was on Sci-Fi. And to have that emotional reveal of her seeing it and then knowing that's her daughter. I agree with you. I was just like, oh man, this is next level. And the joy of, because Groundhog Days, and Jennifer makes that joke, right? Day 3.
And it's cold out there. Hey, it's cold out there.
Yeah. And just the idea that you think it's just going to be a fun little rinse, repeat, rinse, repeat, rinse, repeat. But when you get this emotional payoff for Katrina, just well done show. Katarina, I'm sorry. Well done show.
Karen.
Yeah. I also liked, we didn't just get that she has joy from seeing her daughter again, but she also loses Dr. Eklund.
Yeah.
Didn't really have a major connection with yet, because they've only been quote unquote back together for a little while, but it was also, it's like her emotions had to be like a roller coaster at that point. And so that kind of makes it even more impactful that she finally sees that Hannah's alive because she's lost all this other stuff. And she was set up to be erased. She had this kind of fatalistic, nothing's good anymore type mindset. And then all of a sudden she gets this ray of light. And that's, I think to me, that's what made it very emotional.
Absolutely.
So yeah, I loved that. And I love that they don't set that up until they say it. And when they say it, then we see the flashback of them saving her life. I love how they did that too, because we find out when Katarina finds out. And that it really struck me. And I had to sit there and go, really?
Yeah. I thought a little bit that toward the end, right before I was catching that, right? It isn't like I knew this all along. I didn't. But then right when they wanted us to realize it, I think is when it came in. And we talked about how much we love Michael Hogan. And I hated that we lost him. And he was so good. You loved me. We loved each other, and you can't erase that, no matter what the timeline is. And I like the fact that you saw them in bed together. You could tell they were starting. And all good dramas, you lose something, you gain something. And you now have the drama of wasted 28 years, I think is where I read, right? That
24.
I could have been spending all this time with my daughter, but if I had, then things wouldn't have, at least now. And that's where Cole's question is, right? Is this worth it? And she says yes. And I just so well done.
Yeah, Lullaby was a great Trojan horse of an episode. They totally hid that Hannah sub-storyline perfectly in here. And also the execution of the scene itself, the way it was shot between the two actors, between Katerina and Hannah. One of the great things about film and TV is the visual aspect of it, and the scenes where they just let the actors act, and they didn't even have to talk in that scene. It was just like the two of them just looking at each other. And I just love that scene. It was just so beautifully executed, and they just let you pour in all the emotional subtext of that scene yourself without going into any sort of histrionics from the actors and that. And I just loved that episode or that scene. I just thought it was really well done. And the whole Hannah, like you just said, just how that whole Hannah storyline is wrapped into the time traveling. Hannah wouldn't be alive if Katerina didn't invent the time or perfect the time travel machine. And so it's like that chicken and egg thing, but it's just emotionally satisfying. And as Karen brilliantly pointed out, is the she's gaining something, but she's lost something with Eklund. So and now it's going to be interesting to see how that relationship between those two is going to play out. We saw that a little bit at first. I thought, oh, now she's going to be antagonistic towards her, but fortunately they didn't go down that road. I think they're starting to build a friendly relationship or rapport between the two of them. But yeah, so that was all really well done. So I just didn't want to bury that because when we discuss these episodes, we don't cover everything in depth. And out of the 4 episodes, I took that to be the main thing here. So now we'll do.
Yeah,
oh, sorry.
A couple other things. I just wanted to say that Jennifer is so good in this episode, young and old Jennifer. So many great lines.
Yeah.
I didn't see you yesterday. No vacations. And I love, right, how often I, at least in real life, will say the definition of insanity is doing the same thing over and over again and expecting different results. We talk about that at work all the time.
Yeah.
And the idea that you're going to do something by nothing and them trying to figure it out was just wonderful.
Nothing by doing something.
Yeah.
It's confusing, but when he finally made that connection, you could see him make that connection. And I was like, okay, what is he going to do? I don't get how that's going to happen. Saving Hannah was something that they could do without anyone else knowing. And it was just a brilliant story point.
Yeah. And the idea that time is a thing.
Yes.
That doesn't want it. A water finds its level.
Yeah.
And time is trying to find its level.
Yep.
And that's this. You've said somewhere earlier episode that you've read that this is considered one of the best time travel series as far as tying the knots together and filling in all the holes. I can see that. I can see this. And we're actually really fairly early in this because we're a little bit halfway through the second season. But
in the series now.
Yeah, this is really a powerful episode that it's a cliche game changer, but it is. And now we have a whole nother drama of Katerina and Hannah that are strangers yet have this connection. And where is that going to go?
Yeah,
I'm looking forward to it a lot.
And you just go ahead, Karen.
I was just going to say that. No, go ahead and talk about what Jesse just said.
No, I was going to start something else.
Okay.
Oh, okay. This episode, I have to say, so much was in it. I think we could have done an entire talk about just Lullaby.
Yeah.
We had James and Cassandra talking about the time travel, talking about they'd rather lose something than never have it at all, which ties into the Katerina story. We have all the brilliant stuff from Emily Hampshire, and her rants were always fun.
Yeah.
And then on a more personal, not affected by when the show was made, we just had COVID in 2020. And they're talking about all this happening in 2020, and that's cringy to me, but also I get it. A pandemic was going to come. All the experts have said that we need to prepare, another pandemic's coming. But for it to have happened in the exact same year as this show set it up to be was weird. And the story that James tells to Cassandra about the guys with the guns, that they knew they weren't going to get shot because the Remington makes blanks and they come in a green box. I was really impressed a million times. This episode would be a 10 out of 10.
Mm-hmm.
Lullaby, definitely.
Yeah,
so
for sure. Yeah, and hopefully there's more like this one to come. And something Jesse sparked when he just talked is about the Jennifer character is a brilliant device for not frustrating fans, or at least keeping them entertained when when we the audience are asking these questions. Why don't you do this? Why don't you do that? But you always get one of the biggest issues people have with shows is that characters don't talk to each other, or because if A would talk to B, this whole storyline would be resolved in 2 seconds. But instead they both go off and do their thing. And then it's only at the end, after they've gone through all this drama and hardship, that they compare notes. Whereas in the show, they're always comparing notes and they're using Jennifer as the device to do that. But because she's so messed up, because she's a primary, and at first we thought she was just insane, but now we know she's a primary. She's got all these multiple realities in her mind. She can't give a straight answer because she doesn't know what the right answer is. She can only deal in generalities, which is frustrating I want to know what the mythology of the story is, but because the character is so entertaining, that portion of the show that would normally frustrate you is, as they've turned it into something entertaining. And that's a pretty rare thing. And I don't know if that was the original intent when they created that character, or if it evolved over. We've got to answer these questions, but we can't yet. So let's create this character. Let's use this character who's crazy to make that part of the show entertaining. And I think that her character and the actor, they just make that a joy to watch, like that part of the show. I just have a real hoot with that. Jesse, you got thoughts on that? Or
Yeah, I totally agree that Jennifer is a lot of fun, and we see her storyline flipping back and forth. And future Jennifer still has a little bit of the wacky dialogue, but she is much healthier, and it's the idea that spoilers, right? Mm-hmm. I can't tell you too much because then it'll change. And I know that changing, this is traveling in time, you're a bull in a china shop, to mix our metaphors. And so she has to be careful, but she's fun and she's interesting. And what I think this show has done a good job of is it gives us enough story that I'm not, okay, move it on. There are standalone episodes. There are grading arcs, and they're changing. All right. We now know that you have to find primaries. And if you had done that the very first season, our job is to find the primaries and move over, and then you go, okay, this is just going to be procedural. Right. But no, they started out with, I got to change time to fix this, so we got to kill this person. Then we learn maybe killing doesn't actually help things, right, that letting people live can actually help things. Okay, now we know we have a group of people, the 12 monkeys want to have time stay the same. They're the evil leapers and we're the good leapers. So I think that is a really nice mythos they're teaching. And I am not as worried anymore. Like in the first, I was really worried, okay, what are the rules of time travel? What is this? How does this machine work? How are we going? And now at this point, I'm like, I don't care. You know what? You're telling me a good story, so I don't care. And if I have to color in the lines myself, I don't care if you're going to give me this kind of a story.
Right.
So let me ask you guys a question, because I love Jennifer. Do you think that she makes things harder for people to understand or easier? Because to me, I think she's more obtuse about things, but she also breaks down time travel for people that might not be so much into time travel stories. She's telling them, well, time travel loves time travel. Maybe we need Jones to be exactly the way she is. So it's telling the viewer, this is how our time travel works, without actually coming out and saying, This is how time travel works.
Yeah.
I just like that part of her.
I think that's I like that a lot.
Yeah. I also think that she's embodying the principle of the right path is often the harder path to take, right? The road less traveled. And I think that's what's going on with this series as well. Yeah, so we're all over the place, but that's great because I think the conversation is that these episodes are generating is fantastic. I guess we'll go back to our little more traditional way of approaching this, and let's get back to the couple of the characters here. Cole is an interesting place. I think over these 4 episodes, his arc has been pretty straight. Like he's been still on a kind of like a redemption arc, I guess you could say. His focus has now totally changed from kill everyone to stop the plague to the only reason I'm doing this is for Cassie. And that reveal was, it's not like I knew it, but I just didn't think the show was going to reveal it that quickly. So again, they're subverting expectations, which I really love. And at the same time, you've got Cassie is in a bad place because she's experiencing these hallucinations. And again, the show is continuing the mythology because we were, okay, what's the Red Forest all about? Now we know that it's these primaries being killed. It's causing these temporal storms. And now the big thing that they're introducing is the witness. And I think I said last episode, I think it's Cole, but based on some of the actions in these 4 episodes, I'm a little hesitant to stick with that, but maybe it's Jennifer. I don't know. She would be crazy enough to do some of the things that happen in these episodes. I don't know, but I don't think she could be the primary and be the witness. So I don't know who the witness is. It still might be Cole. I don't know.
How about Ramsey's son?
Yeah,
yeah.
I saw
also a
because
possibility.
He's lost.
I saw a theory of that, and I think that would be a nice twist.
Yeah, especially since but future witness met the son, right? At the end, and we know that
but they're not in regular time.
They're in
pocket universe.
Yeah,
maybe because otherwise, because when you put 2 primaries together, we know what happens, or not 2 primaries, but 2 instances of the same.
But you wonder individual. If in the Red Forest is that kind of a neutral zone where they could do? I don't know.
I think that there's the Red Forest, and then there's that clearing with the farmhouse. Maybe that's I think the farmhouse is the neutral zone or the safe spot, but we'll have to see. So anyhow, it's interesting to again watch these motivations for these characters switch, especially for Cassie, who's undergone quite a transformation from not just the beginning of the series, but from these last 4 or 5 episodes. And now she's carrying this guilt from what happened to her when she was under the control of the witness. And her proclamation, like her rejection of Cole, is understandable. And her proclamation or making a deal with Ramsey that together they should go and hunt down the witness is also made believable by how the show writes the motivations of the character. How are you feeling about what's going on there?
Yeah. Again, we're getting into that territory of their alignment, and that is 100% on her alignment. I think, and I throw out theories all the time, and they're just my opinion, so nobody get on me about this, but I think that her conditioning, when the pretty lady or whatever she's called, when she said, "You're walking in a red forest," I think that set her up to be used by the witness. And I liked when she was seeing that mask, the plague doctor mask person, and then it revealed later that it was her sabotaging. It was really interesting to see that play out. And now I think we're going to get a much more contrite Cassandra, because before all this, she was okay with killing people because of how she lived for that 10 months in the future. And I think now she's going to be rethinking some of that I have to survive kind of mentality. So I think that's really interesting. And I don't think she remembers it 100%. I think she has echoes of what happened. But I would think the echoes are enough that's going to motivate her to do what she can to make up for the mistakes. She killed Dr. Eklund. She got Samuel taken away. She did a number on people. So I do think that she's going to have to make up for all that in order to be in character for her personality.
Josie.
One of the things you've asked me in the past is this actor who plays Cassie. I knew her from the Hallmark Channel movies, and this gives her so much more to do, obviously. And she stepped up for it. I think that she has been wonderful in this, that you see her going through such changes, right? Where because of this time, she's become, it's all about the mission. It's all about the mission. And her and Ramsey not getting along. And now then, because of her being possessed, we had seen that with her dark eyes. We knew that wasn't a good thing. So now then she's done all these things to hurt people. And the enemy of my enemy is my friend. Her and Ramses have bonded over, I want to kill this guy just as much as you do. And so we may not be friends, we may not be partners, but we need to work together. And you have the two most important people in Cole's lives, the woman he loves and his brother. And one of the things we've established that I love is Cole's loyalty. Cole's loyalty, and how we're into the second season, and he has shown that because of all this time, he wants to do the right thing.
Right.
He originally did this because he had to, and now then this journey of his is, I want to do the right thing. And so our three leads to a certain degree, and I think Ramsey, Cassie, and Cole all come in this different and have changed. And I think that's really strong. I remember once that George Papard talked about that a TV show needs to shake things up, and they usually do that around the third or fourth season. And he said, and this is the 8th season of the A-Team, so we're late doing that, right? I think this show isn't afraid to make changes and afraid to. We are going to go through story, and we're going to go through it fast, and we hope that you're going to stick along with us.
Right. What?
I love how you bring up the A-Team. Because doesn't Jennifer say something about it's the A-Team with all, and what's his name? I can't remember his name.
Oh, B.A. Baracus?
With all BAs.
The crazy guy.
Oh, right. Mad Dog.
Yeah. Yes, thank you.
Yeah, Dwight Schultz.
Right.
Yeah.
Hooligan? Hannah? Whatever.
Murdoch.
Yeah. Murdoch. That's it. Yeah. Mad Dog Murdoch. Yep.
I'll look it up because I couldn't remember.
What's interesting is because we just did prior to this episode, we just did our latest Babylon 5 episode, and which was the episode from season 3, Ceremonies of Light and Dark, and talked about how in a show they always need an episode where characters have to reveal the truth about themselves. And in this particular 12 Monkeys episode, they have the Hyena episode where Cassie and Ramsey go to this tech guy or librarian guy, and they're trying to find out the location of Titan. And to get it, they have to tell the truth. So we have that device again. And so they're hooked up to this lie detector. And the reveal is that they're both jealous of each other because at one point or time or another, Cole chose them over the other one. I just thought that was brilliant. Karen, what did you think about that moment?
Yeah. I'm sorry. Can you ask the question again? Everything just fled my brain.
Okay, sure. Cassie and Ramses had to admit that they were jealous of each other because
around I can't remember his name. The peacekeeper,
the librarian or whatever.
Whatever he is. Yeah. I like that. And especially when Cassie, she told the truth first before that, but it wasn't the truth that he was asking for. And he says, no. And she admits, yeah, he stole focus from someone I care about. And then that gets Ramsey also to say, okay, I guess I can say it too. Same. Mm-hmm. I really appreciated that. And if that's the only reason they go to him, I'm happy. But I'd like to think that he's going to come into play more often in the future because he's got all that information.
Yeah.
And it's things like that I like for them to plant for one reason and then to come back later for another reason.
Exactly. Yep. I hope they revisit this location as well. Jesse.
Yeah, it's a little convenient that we have the storage.
The database.
The database. I did love the fact that no one cared about books till it got to be winter, and then you needed fuel.
451.
Yeah. A little bit tinge of the Foundation books, not necessarily the TV series. That Asimov's theory was because there was going to be a new Dark Ages, the Foundation had to secure all the knowledge that was current so you don't lose it. And so this guy is taken upon himself to be a one-person Foundation.
We have that in a lot of sci-fi literature, right? Even Station 11, they had the guy wanted to save stuff from the past. I think that's not a contrivance so much as it is that he's within walking distance. Everything's within walking distance of this thing. Yeah. But anyway, sorry, go ahead.
Yeah. So I thought that was really well done. It was an interesting character. Once again, we now have, we were looking for the Red Forest. Now we need to find out what Titan is. What is this? Part of you, because they're doing this so well, I'm not getting frustrated that they keep changing the finish line. They keep moving the finish line. This is what we're looking for. No, this is what we're looking for. This is what we're looking for. But that makes sense that as you dig into this, almost like a video game, that you get through one layer, you've got another. So I thought that was great.
Yeah, I think the best book example or book series example I can think of is Dresden Files, because that starts out with Harry, who's a detective wizard. It's pretty like surface level and not parlor tricks, just because it's real magic, but all his opponents are pretty low powered. But as each book comes along and his power grows, then the villains become more and more powerful. They're deities, really, like they're all gods that he's fighting. And I think that I don't know if they're going to go that far with this show, if we're going to end up facing off with God or the devil or something like that. But yeah, it's an interesting track, and the focus on the show is shifted from the virus to the 12 monkeys to the witness to this, and time itself is more than just a force of time, nature. It's almost like a intelligent being, and I quite like that. It's somewhat similar to, you could say, with Quantum Leap, where on one hand you could look at that show and say he's just randomly leaping from person to person, but subtextually and by the show's finale, there was a design behind it from a higher being or deity or intelligence or whatever. And I think that this show is working on that level as well. So I quite like that as well.
I feel like anytime you have a bad guy and a good guy, especially in a sci-fi series, it's alluding to some kind of God devil relationship. And I wonder if time isn't both.
Right.
The good guy and the bad guy, because sometimes it seems to be the protagonist and sometimes the antagonist. I feel like there's a lot of again, so many levels to this show. Is the witness a good guy or a bad guy? What is he trying to do? He's trying to make it so time doesn't exist and everyone gets to be with whomever they please. And how that doesn't sound terrible on the surface, right? That he wants everyone to have their best, their fondest heart's desire. And he thinks he's the good guy. And he thinks these guys are trying to stop him, which makes them the bad guy. And I just love that you can see things from all the different angles.
Yeah. Jesse?
And the individual stories I'm going to go off on a tangent, right? That because we're not doing every episode at a time, and I'm not recommending that we change, but we had a pretty decent serial killer story that, and the different angle of Jennifer thought she was mentally unstable, this because she was this select person. This other guy hears voices and it chooses him to kill people, right? That's a different twist in this universe.
They're primaries.
Yeah, they're primaries. And the idea that I love that. And we also get the last episode is Jennifer, I have my purpose. And so we're going to build this army. And that kind of loses control on its own. It is a very complicated world that, unlike Westworld, after a while went, okay, this is too much work. I can't follow Westworld anymore.
It was good for a movie, in my opinion.
But just I watched the first season, then by the second I was like, this is just too much homework.
Right.
This doesn't feel like homework because there is character based. Exactly. It's not plot based, it's character based.
Yeah.
And you are enjoying the striking woman is she paralyzed at the waist? It looks what's that going to happen? And what's with her and her brother? That it is, it's just fascinating.
And why does he hate her so much?
Yeah.
Is he envious or is he just
jealous? Yeah. And we don't know who their father is yet. We know who the mother was. She was one of the 12 that was sent back to 1944.
Yes.
Yeah, the Germany episodes or the war episodes.
Yeah, the war episodes.
Yeah.
German war.
Yeah. It's becoming a little unwieldy doing 4 episodes now because we're getting deeper into it. We may want to revisit that, but I'd like to stay at the pace that we're at. But depending on how impactful each episode becomes going forward, I know maybe we'll have to cut it down to 2 or something. We'll have to see though. But
exactly.
I'd really like to stay on this pace because it's making it quite enjoyable to watch the show.
And hopefully our listeners are enjoying the overview, and I would love to hear their thoughts about anything we don't cover. Once again, we're doing what reminds us, right? This is what highlights us. Yeah. And there's a lot to choose on this. I'm really happy with it.
Yeah. So for me, the 2 other interesting items I'm tracking out now is, of course, what's going to happen to Ramsey's boy. And that he splintered off into that pocket universe or whatever. And it seems like he's met up with the witness, it looks like. And then, of course, there's the relationship between Katrina and Hannah. How is that going to play out? And what kind of a dynamic is that going to add? And is she, she's just such a question mark now because she's been off the table from Katrina for so long. And has Jennifer groomed her for something that we don't know yet? I don't know. I'm just going to be very curious to see. And how involved is she going to become? Or how often is she going to be in the show? I guess even we don't know. Is she going to become a major player, or is this something that she's going to be in and out like Eklund was for 3 or 4 episodes? It's hard to say. Those are probably the 2 new things that I'm interested in. And then, of course, what is Cassie and Ramsey journey going to be going forward? And then the rest of the stuff is all the overarching stuff that it looks like Katrina and Cole are going to be taken care of for at least for the next episode or 2. So that's where I'm at right now. And Jesse, what's got you salivating?
I truly want to know more about Hannah. And I don't think we'll get a backstory, but that would be a great episode to see what happened to her, kind of through flashbacks to get that.
I think we will.
Oh, I hope so. I don't.
I think we will, because why would they introduce her?
Yeah. I am curious to see her relationship with her mom and how that's going to happen. Our team is divided, as you mentioned, and I'm curious to know where are we going to go with that. Yep. What is that going to happen? I also really, really am surprised how much I love Deacon. And he's such a jerk, but there's something about him that partly it's the actor. The actor is very charismatic.
Yeah.
But I like we talked about last time that, hey, I respect you guys for doing this. And so I'm looking forward to that frenemy to see where that goes.
Yeah.
So I want to see more of Deacon, and what that's going to happen is Katarina going to mourn, or is she just going to focus on her daughter? And if you notice, as you brought up, Lou, and you did too, Karen, all my questions are not about how are they going to fix the plague. It's what are going to happen to these characters.
Yep.
What is their emotional journey, which is why I'm so engaged in this show.
I still want them to fix the plague.
Sure.
But I completely agree with you. That's a side note to me. And I think that they're doing that on purpose, because it is literally the side note. And them doing all this other stuff, is that going to fix everything? So there's a lot of questions around it, but they're not pressing. I also want to mention in Immortal, one of my very favorite character actors, he's been in a lot of things. He was in Gotham. He was in The Dark Knight Rises. David Dalmatian. I also met him once, and he was such a nice guy. Just completely different, from about as opposite as you can get from this character, the serial killer kind of guy.
Right.
He was so good in this. It was a pleasure for me to see him pop up in this episode. And I think that episode was just as good in a different way. Maybe, okay, not quite as good as Lullaby, but a really compelling episode as well.
Yeah. These were all 4 strong episodes. I focused on Lullaby because it had that emotional wall up, but I enjoyed each one of these episodes. I was never bored. It was
agreed.
It's great stuff. I guess the only overriding concern, and it's not really a concern, but I just want to see how they handle it, is how are they going to get all these characters to the end of the series in a good place, or a decent place, or please don't do Mr. Jordan ending where they don't remember what they've been through. I know that some people don't mind that. Like, one of my Stephen King's It is a lot of people's top 1 or 2 books. Don't like it that those characters don't remember what they went through at the end of the story. I just don't like that kind of story construction, and I just pray that's not going to happen with this series as well.
Yeah, it's one of my least favorite things, is the snow globe from St. Elsewhere, and I did like how funny it was in Newhart that he wakes up as Bob, but things like that. And what is it, Bobby on Dallas coming out of the shower and everything was different. I'm not a fan of that mechanism. So let's hope that it doesn't end up that way. They are all out of time because of this shot that they're taking. So let's hope that stays, that those experiences live with them. I also want to see how things get tied up in a bow. I would like to think that we at least get a happy ending for some of that cabal of characters, and that maybe we don't have a plague. I would like for that to have happened in real life, such as life. So I'm 1,000,000% curious as to how things are going to shake out. And like I said at the beginning, I really want to see more intertwining storylines. Are they going to pick up this character and put him here? Is Samuel going to be someone else? Is Hannah going to be are they going to be different people in time? Because we've already seen them do that with the witnesses, go back and they become like someone's mother or someone's sister or whatever. I love that. And I would like to see more of that.
Yeah, you took the words out of my mouth.
I'm sorry.
No, we're in the same place. My question is, what's a happy ending for this series?
Well, yeah, I can't really picture it myself.
I can't either. I can't picture an end game.
Yeah.
Peter and Olivia get together. Okay, that's Sam comes home. Exactly. So in this, I don't know what is in game, as they talk about in Shipper World. but I'm loving the journey.
Yeah.
And I think that's part of the joy is I'm not sure where they're going to go next.
Yeah. If they can pull off a great ending, and it would be like a microcosm of that would be like there's that one scientist tech, the older guy with the gray hair. There was a brief one-off mention that he'd lost a child or something too.
Yeah.
Even if he gets a happy ending at the end of the series, then I really know that they really nailed it.
Yeah. Katerina mentioned that's why he's so loyal to her, is because they had that in common. That was that's a nice pull.
Nice little touch. Yeah. There might be a nice little Easter egg for down the road. So we'll see. Okay, I'll go around the table one more time before our tethers snap on us for another week. Karen, you got anything else you wanted to mention about these episodes that hasn't come up?
No, they were all good. I am really getting into the story. And like you, this is past the episodes that I watched. I know I didn't get all the way through season 1. So I like that I'm seeing it again with a fresh pair of eyes and getting more into the story. And I can't wait to see what comes next.
Cool. Jesse.
Yeah, I'm just right here at this. I just really love where we're going. It is, I double checked with you, right? I said, are these the right episodes we're watching? Because I wanted to go forward. But I was like, I don't think we need to. So yeah, I'm really happy you picked this and really well done. Like I said, I keep thinking, why wasn't I watching this when it was first on? So I'm late to the dance, but I am enjoying it.
Okay, that's it for this episode. I hope everybody out there enjoyed listening to this. And if they want to find out, Karen, where you live when you're not tethered to this podcast, why don't you let them know?
Oh, I'm out in the ether as at Eliveria on the various social medias, and my blog is alistuff.com, where on the landing page you can find a bunch of stuff that might be of interest to you.
Mm-hmm. And you can tell Karen and Jesse, they're both busy people. So getting them to tether together for a day a week is amazing. And Jesse, your tether is really starched tight because you're like, you are like 1,000 hours of Bruce Springsteen or episodes or whatever it is.
Yes. Set Lasting Bruce is my Bruce Springsteen podcast that I just reached earlier this year, 1,000 episodes. So if you are interested in hearing music, discussions of music, this week, as we're recording this, I have a Canadian musician joining me that does Red Dirt Country from Canada. We did talk a little bit about the Tragically Hip, and he's very good. I really enjoyed visiting with him. Cool. I also have a guy who's mad at Bruce Springsteen who joined me, and that was a fun discussion. And I hope you guys are checking out when we talk Babylon 5, because that's been just a lot of fun, and we're getting to the good stuff.
Mm-hmm. And interestingly enough, we're about halfway between both series right now. We're halfway with this one, and we're halfway with Babylon 5. So it's getting into the good stuff. And for myself, you can, of course, find me on YouTube at Lose Reviews, where you'll find this podcast along with the Babylon 5, a writer's podcast, the Stephen King podcast. We also have our JKL Media, where we do one-offs, which this is a one-off, but even though it's 4 seasons, we've bent the rules on this one. But we've done a short series like Devs, the English, Midnight Mass, to name a few. You can check them all out there. And on Twitter, you can find me at Lou W. Sitzma. And with that, I can feel the tethers really starting to break. So before you both fly off, Karen and Jesse, thank you. Thank you, listeners. And we'll be talking to you again when we reestablish contact next week. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye, everyone. Perfect.
And scene.